Cubs as well that were named to the list. So why don't we start locally here in Toronto? Austin Matthews and Matthew Knies were the only Maple Leafs that were nominated or that were invited to go to this event here and vie for an opportunity to play for the Americans at the Olympics in this upcoming Olympic Games. Matthews was on the team for the Four Nations. He was the captain for the Four Nations. Matthew Knies has yet to play for Team USA in an Olympic event or in a major event, I suppose. Well, World Juniors. He was at the World Juniors as well for Team USA, I suppose. But what's the likelihood that there'll be multiple Maple Leafs on Team USA come February?
I like the chances. I mean, you look at the players that were invited. It's a tough team to make. But I feel like, Matthews and Knies are. You bring those names up, and people will say, "Yeah, definitely case for both of them to be on the team." Right off the hop. I mean, Matthews is a lock.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. He was already named to the initial 6 roster or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. I think he'll probably be captain again.
I'll be curious to see. That's the only question when it comes to Austin Matthews. He's clearly going to make the team. He's going to be there if he's healthy, I suppose, which was a question mark last year going into the Four Nations. But yeah, I think that's the only question, is whether or not they appoint him as captain again. I don't know. They probably do. Why bother ruffling feathers if they felt that he was captain material at the Four Nations a year ago? I doubt they go away from that. They clearly want him to be the face of USA hockey. So it would make sense to give him the captaincy again. And he's done it before. I know they didn't win the championship at Four Nations, but he's probably the best American player in the world right now, realistically. You think about McDavid, Draisaitl, Makar, McKinnon. Those guys aren't Americans. Those are all Canadians and Europeans. So, Austin Matthews is probably the best, most logical option when you're looking at someone to lead the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, there are some really good options, and it's crazy because the last time the Olympics were played, I expected the U.S. to be back. When the NHLers were at the Olympics, I should emphasize. I expected the U.S. to be right back in the medal contention with Canada going for gold. I was kind of left disappointed, right? I remember TJ Oshie with that incredible shootout performance in those Olympics, and then obviously now. A lot of people like where USA is going in terms of the talent that they have all across the board. And so, yeah, it's a pretty solid list when you look at who was invited.
Yeah, well, let's throw the list up here. We've got the list of names that have all been invited to the Ford camp. It was 44 players in total, and like we mentioned, 2 of which members of your Toronto Maple Leafs in Austin Matthews and Matthew Knies. But look, it's a good collection of players. You've got Jack Eichel, you've got Patrick Kane, who's been a staple, who wasn't at Four Nations, but will he make the Olympic team? I think it's interesting that Patrick Kane might have an opportunity here. Jack Hughes will be there, JT Miller, right? You're looking at some solid players. Jason Robertson, the Tkachuk brothers, obviously will be 2 guys who will be in the mix for sure. Funny enough, actually, look.
Matthew's not
there. Matthew's not there, but it's because he's not healthy, right?
Yeah, we're expecting that he was supposed to have that procedure.
Yeah,
or he was still debating if he was going to have that procedure for his injury from the playoffs. So don't think it'd be wise for him to be skating around with those questions.
He'll be there. He'll be on the team. I don't think anyone's worried about Matthew Tkachuk having to be there for the coaches to see him, to give him an opportunity to make the roster. If he's healthy, he'll be there in Milano in February. That's for sure. But I look at it though, it's going to be tough for Matthew Knies. It's just a really good group of players, like Boldy and Gensel and Caulfield. I think Logan Cooley's a hell of a player. Kyle Connor, clearly a top-tier goal scorer in the NHL. Like Tage Thompson has proven that he can be a 40 to 50 goal scorer at the NHL level. Alex Tuck does a lot of similar things, that Matthew Knies does. Chris Kreider, who is, basically just an older version of what Matthew Knies would love to become. He's obviously going to be in the fold here for the Americans. So, when I look at Matthew Knies and his likelihood of making the team, I think it's almost a coin flip at this point. He's certainly going to have to get off to a really good start for the Maple Leafs this year in order to put himself in pole position to make the team and in one of these roster spots. But what I think certainly would help him is if him and Austin Matthews get off to an unbelievable start here at the beginning of the season, because in a short tournament like this, you don't have a whole lot of time to create chemistry. So if you have a line mate or a teammate at your NHL club that you play really well with, that is capable of being an Olympian, a la Knies and Matthews, you're more likely to kind of bring those two together as a team. Like we've seen that time and time again in the Olympics where they've done that. Like think back to what was it, that Sharks line from back of the day, Jumbo, Marlowe, and Heatley. They were there together, right? Kunitz came alongside Sidney Crosby. This is just something that we see happen from time to time. Not to say that I don't think Matthew Knies is deserving of being on this roster himself, but I just believe if it comes down to Knies or this player, he may get the edge because he can play and has chemistry with Austin Matthews, who is going to be a top line star for this American team.
Well, yeah, I didn't really had considered that point, but now you bring it up, it makes a lot of sense because maybe they could do what they did in Four Nations, just throw Matthews with the Kachuk brothers and see if that trio can work. But other than being a line mate of Austin Matthews, Matthew Knies also ticks a lot of boxes that you brought up some really good players. But Knies has that dimension of he can play on the penalty kill. He can do some of the other things that maybe some of the goal scoring forwards don't do that often. So, but yeah, I'm sure the coaching staff, I think it's still Mike Sullivan that's coaching the U.S. team. He may want to consider that because you want to make sure that you're going to give Austin Matthews best opportunity to be at his best. And if him and Knies are, showing some really good chemistry and they're dominating this, to start this season, it's going to be hard to break those two up.
I agree. So we'll see again the orientation camp next weekend for the Americans and Canadians to see who they'll bring to the Olympics. You don't have to be invited to the camp to get a shot at the Olympics. And there is one Maple Leaf who was not invited to the camp. I consider him a snub, who will, I think, have an opportunity